It is World Breastfeeding Week, and it is a time to celebrate moms around the world and explore not only the wins and the benefits of feeding babies, but also take time to look at the challenges that moms face. Joining me this morning to discuss is board-certified lactation consultant and family nurse practitioner at UTHealth Houston, Megan Oggero. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
So first, tell us, what is Breastfeeding Week? What does that mean?
So every year from August 1st through 7th, we celebrate World Breastfeeding Week. It's a week just to recognize breastfeeding as a major health promoting intervention that women can do for their children, and to recognize some of the barriers that women face.
Yeah, so before we talk about the barriers, first explain what are the benefits of breastfeeding.
Great. So breastfeeding has many benefits. Of course, there's bonding for the mom and the baby, but it also reduces rates of cancer. So in women, things like breast cancer, ovarian cancer. It also reduces their risk of cardiovascular disease and type 2 diabetes. For babies, it reduces the risks of leukemia, of SIDS, of type 1 and type 2 diabetes, all kinds of infections like respiratory illnesses, gastrointestinal viruses.
The reason I liked it was because babies get the antibodies from mom so that they have some protection before they're able to get vaccinated. And also, I remember my lactation consultant talking about like how it develops like the sinus cavities and stuff from just using those muscles. Is that true?
Yeah, it helps very much with the oral development. It's the optimal way to breastfeed, to feed babies. So it really does help to kind of broaden the palate, and give more sinus space.
But still, we started off by talking about, too, you mentioned the barriers. So what are some of the barriers that moms still face when trying to breastfeed?
Right. So it's often challenging, even though it's promoted as natural, which it is. It doesn't mean it's easy. I usually kind of refer to it like riding a bike. It's really hard at first, and once you get it, things tend to really take off and go smoothly. You know, things like breast pain, nipple pain, low milk supply are common challenges. Other barriers are things like returning to work, support. While we're required by law to have breaks for pumping while we're at work, they're not required to be paid. So that can make things challenging for people.
I know returning to work was always hard for me. It felt like, you know, the supply goes down and then the stress kicks in, and then it's a vicious cycle of, you know, like you honestly, you feel like a failure when you can't feed your baby that way anymore, when you know the benefits of breastfeeding. So what would you suggest to moms who are struggling to breastfeed?
So if it's early, I would definitely suggest getting help as soon as possible. It's much easier to intervene to help when we can see you early. Later on, of course, we can still help. Things like returning to work bring up new challenges beyond what you experience in the first week. Oftentimes, we can walk through some different tips and techniques. And sometimes there are supplements and things like that that can help at that point.
Are there any programs that can help, and anything that, you know, like you said, even in the first week, who can a mom call if they've got a newborn at home? You know, it's hard to leave the house if you have a newborn.
It is very hard to leave the house. So there is a state breastfeeding hotline. It's free and it's answered 24/7. That's a great resource.
Yeah, I didn't know about that.
Yeah, so they'll take calls even in the middle of the night. It's great for basic breastfeeding concerns, and they can help troubleshoot and give you tips to carry over until you get in-person help. Ideally, with more significant concerns, you would reach out to a lactation consultant. There are clinics like mine that you can go to for help. There are also some lactation consultants in the community that will do home visits. And thankfully, insurance pretty broadly covers lactation support.
Yeah, that's good to know. I think people don't know where to turn, though, so those are all really good tips. Megan Oggero, we really appreciate having you in the studio, and thanks for being so understanding, talking about comparing it to, you know, riding a bike. We don't know how to do it, so you are so important to new moms. Thank you.
Thank you.